Welcome to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. I'm Sharon Giroux, your resident skeptic who asks all the tough questions. And with me is Jennifer Neal, our manifesting maestro. Whether you're rolling your eyes or raising your vibration, we dive into all things manifestation, mindset, and energy from every side. Hit subscribe, settle in, and get ready for spirited debates, surprising experiments, and laughter on the journey to creating a life you love. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Manifest This Believer versus Skeptic. Today, we're going to do one of our business podcasts. And we talked about this from a personal level, but this week we're going to talk about it from a business level. Is it fair to want more in business when the world feels unstable? Hey, Jen, how are you today?
Great, just great. How are you?
I'm terrific. So, this looks like it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, like I've been wrestling with this myself personally over the past few weeks with all of the upheaval in politics, war, abuse, you name it. It's kind of all coming down right now. And I think a lot of people in business are quietly, well, in life, but specifically, I want to talk about business today, are quietly wrestling with the fact that, is it okay? Is it right for me to want more revenue, more clients, more growth when the economy feels uncertain, when people are struggling, when everything feels really shaky? Is it okay to want to grow?
Yeah, this one feels a little different than personal development because it's not about, I want a better life. It's about charging people, selling things, growing wealth, all those KPIs and those metrics that we expect to try to meet or exceed. While, there's other people who are tightening their belts. And I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable with that.
Or even worse, they start to pull back. We see it all the time, right?
Right.
Companies start reducing their marketing budgets. Listen, I was in marketing for 26 years. I know what budget gets killed first. People start pulling back. They start to play smaller. They stop promoting themselves. Companies slash budgets. They hesitate to sell, not because they don't believe in what they do, but because something feels off.
Yeah, I've actually seen this because people start to go quiet when things get a little bit uncertain. There's less posting, there are less offers, everything just the whole cycle takes longer. People stop talking about money and deals. It's almost like they're trying to be respectful about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, and listen, I understand that instinct because as the whole reason we're talking about this today is because I have felt it myself. But here's the problem. When you shrink your business, you don't help the world. You remove value from it.
Okay, so what if people genuinely can't afford what you're selling? Is it insensitive to keep pushing?
Well, I'm not going to talk about how to sell today because we never push in selling anyway.
Right.
But, it's insensitive to push something that doesn't help, but it's not insensitive to offer something that does. And there's a massive difference between selling from desperation and serving from certainty.
I think this leads to a bit of a money distortion. Money is where things start to get quite messy because people associate money with greed, especially right now. So wanting more revenue can somehow feel a little bit wrong.
Yes, because we've been taught to disconnect money from service. We've been taught that in business, especially, money is feedback. If you aren't bringing the money in, you're not doing a good job. That's basically what we say in business, right?
Right.
That's the mindset. It's an exchange. It is someone saying, this helped me enough, or this helped me so much, or I believe this solution will be the answer. I'm going to invest in it.
Yeah, until it didn't. And then people feel taken advantage of.
Yes, and that exists, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about people who care deeply, who have something of value, a solution, who know they can help a particular problem. And those people are still holding back, the good guys, right? And because they have somehow in their head, and again, I would argue that we've been taught this, they have been programmed into thinking that somehow money must mean something negative.
Right. No, I get that. So there's also this idea of reading the room. Like, if people are scared financially, shouldn't businesses adjust, pull back, and be quieter?
Adjust? Maybe yes. Always. I think we're looking at positioning. Disappear? No. Because leadership, if you're a good leader, you don't follow fear, you stabilize it. It's good leaders stabilize fear. Any good leader I've ever worked under, worked with, it's like, I don't care what's going on under here. We're going there,
Right,
right?
right. But, there is a risk sometimes, and we see it all over, of looking tone deaf. Like, hey, buy my program or do this while people are struggling.
Listen, I think there's 2 things here. One is maybe if your messaging lacks awareness, right? Or just purely lacks the sensitivities in the world. But the other part of that, again, I'm going to say is programming. Like, why would we stop growing because other people are struggling? Who's to say in a year from now we're not helping them out of their struggle? But here's the other perspective. In uncertain times, people are looking for solutions. I always go back to that. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for stability. They're looking for opportunity. They're looking for a way forward. And if you go quiet, you remove one of those pathways.
Sure, that makes sense.
Again, this comes down to if anybody's been following us, along for this past year, well, let's talk about the identity of a business owner. This is where it gets a little deeper because this isn't just about strategy. And I will argue so many businesses don't even have a strategy, but we're not
Right.
talking about that today. This is about identity, right? So, who are you? Who are you when things feel uncertain? Are you a leader that contracts, that waits, that plays it safe, that holds back, that gets insecure, that is unsure? Or are you a leader that leads, that innovates, that shows up, that trusts your value, that sees what's going on and says to yourself, I can be, again, identity to be, I can be a light in this chaos.
Sure. And I think the other side of it is not to be a blind optimist. If you're going to lead with numbers behind you, with strength behind you, with knowledge behind you. I mean, I think it's very rare we find leaders who, in chaos, can be that lightning rod and help move people forward. But then there's the problem, what if the numbers actually aren't there?
Then you respond to the numbers without becoming them. Because here's what most people do they mirror the environment instead of influencing it. And then they will say, well, the market is slow. But what if your identity is what sets your pace? And I have to tell you a tiny little story here for 2 seconds. I can't remember who told me this story, but it was in a real estate environment and it was in a slow economy. And I'm doing air quotes because that's all relative, right? And the brokers in this particular real estate agency were kept coming back to the owner and saying, listen, there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. And so the leader brought in a new broker and they put this new broker in a room all by themselves, gave them a list and said to them, there's gold in that list. Go. The broker came out a while later and said, I found this lead, this lead, this lead, this lead, this opportunity. They want to sell. They want to buy. They want to buy. The bottom line was it's all about what you believe, right? So you think the market's slow? Great. You are going to get confirmation
Right.
of that statement. So, but what if your identity is what sets your pace? What if you walk in and say, I am a closer? I am a solution? I am the light to this problem? And so it is.
That reminds me of, the pink elephant, like, don't mention a pink elephant because all you see that are pink elephants as an example, and if all you're
Yeah.
seeing is the negativity, then that's what becomes your environment.
I've been practicing this since I was 25, and you and I are 30 years beyond that now. Like, I don't
Maybe
watch the
more.
news, and yeah, I don't watch the news, and I remember from time to time, people like, "You don't watch the news?" Like, "No, I don't watch the news. I don't wanna know what you are telling the world is going on in the economy because 'cause I'm gonna plow right through it." And
Right,
I did through 3 recessions,
yeah.
not blinkers on, okay? So, anyway, sorry, carry on.
So, okay, let's get really practical right now. So, if someone is in business and they're feeling this tension, what do you think they should be doing? Do they still sell at full price? Do they discount? Do they pivot? As a leader, how do they show up in the world?
Well, I can't answer any of those questions for their business, but what I can say is this they get honest, not reactive, honest. And they ask themselves, we ask ourselves, does what I offer actually solve a real problem right now? Am I communicating that clearly? Am I selling from belief or fear? Because people can feel that, especially they're super sensitive right now. So if you're selling from scarcity, if you're selling from lack, if you're selling from panic, if you're selling from, gosh, I hope someone buys this, that energy repels people. But if you are selling from certainty, from service, every day we come in this office, we're in the insurance business. We come in this office, we're like, people need us. People need us out there. We do something that makes a difference. This will help the people we serve. This lands differently than will you buy? Will you buy? Will you buy? Will you buy from me?
And here's the thing, as difficult as things are in the world at the moment, when I was in that part of business in terms of selling, those questions ran through my head regardless of the economy,
Bingo.
regardless of what was going on, because as much as I had numbers and things I was supposed to do and KPIs, for me, if connecting with my clients didn't feel authentic, then every sale I made felt half hearted and didn't feel right to me. So I know we've been talking about how we present ourselves to our clients and our customers, but I think part of what you're saying as well is how we're showing up, regardless of what the economy is. It's about the energy behind the business and the energy behind who you are as someone who is in business.
Yeah, and I think that we're slowly starting to allow the word energy into business.
Right.
This is an energetic game.
Yeah.
And, because even in bad economies, some businesses thrive, lots of businesses thrive. I mean, think about the businesses that came out of the wars.
Yeah.
And a couple that come to mind are Nestle Toll House cookies, invented out of World War II because of hardship. Kentucky Fried Chicken, I believe, also came out of hardship. So there's still greatness happening in hard times, people. In fact, I would argue there's opportunities like crazy in hard times.
Yep.
So, yeah, like just because we have bad economies, again, I'm using air quotes, some businesses thrive. Why? Because they don't buy into the collective contraction. Don't buy into this.
So I'm going to push on the responsibility piece a little bit now, thinking that perhaps businesses should be more conscious right now, more ethical, more aware.
Well, yes, always, but maybe they weren't in the beginning and they won't be. So more is relative again,
Right.
right?
Right.
But that's why you and I get up at 6:30 in the morning. We're hoping to turn the lights on. We're hoping to rise the consciousness. We're hoping to bring in the energy because consciousness doesn't mean contraction. It means alignment. Energy is alignment. You're either aligned or you're not, which means if you're aligned and you're aware, you're selling what truly helps. You're pricing with integrity. You're communicating with honesty, but you're still allowing yourself to grow. Why do you have to stay put? It's not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
We need more money. Listen, the richest people in the world are the ones that created the art galleries. They are the philanthropists. They put money into you like them or lump them. They are building great things around this world. So not all wealth is terrible, but allow yourself to grow because here's the truth people don't want to say. A struggling business helps no one. It helps no one. Certainly doesn't help you. Doesn't help the owner, doesn't help the clients, and it doesn't help the economy.
And it doesn't help the people who work for the companies that do that either.
Yeah, they're going to lose their job.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go back to our initial thesis, and that is it fair to want more in business when the world feels unstable? Closing thoughts, Jen.
So not only is it fair, it's responsible. It's your duty. If what you're offering creates value and you know there are prospects, people out there that need what you have, it is your duty to show up in this world because business isn't separate from the world. It is part of how the world functions. And when good people pull back, it creates space for less consciousness, less conscious businesses to take over. And we certainly don't want that.
That's a really interesting way to look at it.
So maybe the question isn't, should I want more? Maybe the question is, am I willing to become the kind of business owner who can handle more responsibly?
That's fantastic. Okay, Jen. Well, thank you very much. And thanks everybody for listening. Stay tuned next week for yet another interesting podcast with Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Manifest This, Believer versus Skeptic. If you enjoyed today's conversation, share it with a friend, believer or skeptic. And don't forget to leave us a review so others can join in the debate. Plus, check out Jennifer's TikTok account, Manifestation RX, where she writes daily prescriptions for manifesting your dreams. Think practical tips with a dash of magic. We love hearing your questions and stories, so tell us what you're manifesting or questioning this week. Until next time, keep an open mind and maybe manifest a little magic.